We are live. Good afternoon. This is Reginald Andre with the Miami Business Leaders. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in our part two series with Dr. Valerie Rhoden, talking about her book. In the midst of many health, political, and social issues we are plagued with today, competent and compassionate leaders are critically needed. Leaders in the businesses are setting aside technical manuals and legal jargon for supernatural solutions to natural problems. Today is part two of the interview with Dr. Rhoden, where she will dive deeper into the wisdom guideposts from her book, Leading from the Inside Out: Wisdom for Compassionate Leaders. Dr. Rhoden, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Reginald. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely. Can you believe it's already it's been 3 months since we did our first live?
That long? Oh my God.
Yeah, it was September. I was actually listening to our podcast this morning just to kind of get a recap. And oh my gosh, there was so many nuggets in our podcast. I mean, we talked everything. Some of my notes I had was finishing, pocket manual to help leaders. We're talking about your book.
Mhm.
How do you show up to work each day with your faith and with the things that's happening in this world and balancing
Oh, yes.
so many different topics we talked about. And if you've never seen our part one series, I'm going to be putting the link in the description below, and definitely check that out because it was very possible. It was very powerful. So let's just go from a recap, just in case this is someone's first time watching. They didn't watch the part one. Dr. Rhoden, tell us a little about yourself and a little from your book here, Leading from the Inside Out.
Thank you so much, Reginald. The first part of the interview was my opportunity to give an overview of wisdom and wisdom that we can use in our personal lives and in our careers. And I'm a storyteller. I love to tell stories. So I included stories of my own career and others. But most of all, I wanted to highlight the importance of compassionate leadership because the times that we're living in now, we have many leaders, but what is missing is the compassion, the leaders who will listen to understand, not just listen so that they can make their point. So the nuggets that I gave were basically to let us know to continue to be compassionate leaders, to raise up new and emerging compassionate leaders for such a time as this.
Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned last time, this is not a technical book. This is not something that you're just going to read in 2 or 3 days. It is a very easy read. This is something where you're going to take nuggets. This is something that you're going to be reflecting on and writing your notes and things like that, thinking about it, and then from there you go on the next one. So this actually, I have a little desk here to my right, and this actually sits right here on my desk. And once in a while, every couple of days, I'll just go in and just read because it's just something again that you just need to reflect on and just kind of like take some time out of this busy times that we are in and just kind of read the nuggets, reflect on what it's saying, and then applying it.
Reginald, you hit it very succinctly when you said simple.
Mhm.
It's simple, but it's not simplistic. And it's intentional to be simple so that you would read it, understand it, and apply it. I think nowadays we can get to the point where we want to make life complicated. It really isn't. It really isn't. Life can be simplified. And so I intentionally wrote it in a simple manner so that any day, because this is what I needed when I was a school site principal and administrator. I needed a little manual that would just give me a boost to let me know that my passion and my compassionate leadership style really does make a difference. It may be hard on me because the world doesn't understand it. But with those little nuggets, if I could have had that to read each day, it would have been a like, that a girl, Val, keep going. You can do it. You can do it. So I wanted to give what I didn't have. and I wanted it to be simple. And it's not a daily devotional, and I say that in the book. It is any day that you need inspiration. And as a compassionate leader, that's practically every day. You pick up the book, keep it, ladies, in your purse, gentlemen, on your desk, or whatever, but refer to it as a manual. You read technical manuals all the time in every career, but this is a manual for life.
Absolutely, I agree. And as we are now here in the holidays, what is something that you're thankful for this holiday season?
If I may, Reginald, I want to say something a little bit before the holiday season. I'm thankful that you're feeling better.
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
thankful that we were able to reschedule this, and that though you went through an illness, it was not COVID. So
Mhm.
I'm very thankful that you are feeling better. And I'm also thankful, Reginald, as I look at the screen and I see us side by side. I'm thankful for the generations that are here. I'm 69 years old, and I'm a different generation than you are. Many of my colleagues have been set aside, and the wisdom that they bring to the table has been lost.
Mm.
But you had the insight to say, though Dr. Rhoden is of a different generation, there is something we can learn from her. And I'm glad to be sitting next to you because I can learn the technology, I can learn all the new innovations from your generation. So I hope others will see the need to keep side by side in unity both the old and the young, because both bring so much to the table. Now, for the holiday season, I'm very thankful for truth. You say, Dr. Rhoden, what's truth?
Right.
You know, there are certain principles that keep us safe and keep us prospering. Those truths for me are the scriptures. But the world will have us to know that truth is relative. It's what I believe, what works for me may not work for another. But I really want us during this holiday season, and I'm thankful for the truth. And I would ask us to all be ferociously focused on truth and our goals, because my whole purpose in my motivational speaking, in my personal development speaking, is to help people to go to the next level in their lives. There are a lot of distractions going on during this time. We're at the end of a very tumultuous year. There have been many dreams and aspirations that thieves have come in and robbed. They don't want us to make it into 2022. They, they, who is they? We all know who our enemies are. Some of them are people that we love. Some of them are people we work with or work for. And some may be from supernatural. But I want us to be ferociously focused. And I want you to write that down, ferociously focused on what you have set as your goals and dreams for 2021. It's not too late for those to come to fruition.
Mhm.
And then be ferociously focused on what do you want to see in your life in 2022.
Mm. When I think of ferocious, you think of like a lion, like something strong, something like an attack. It's like putting all your might in that. So that's very, very, very true. And thank you for the well wishes. Yes, feeling much better. And there's this quote about generations that I like that says, a generation which ignores history has no past and no future. So definitely, I love to interview everybody. To not just make it the Miami business leaders of the young or the young professionals or whatever like that. We have to listen to people that's been there before us so that we can make sure that we learn from that and we can follow on that as well. So thank you for being here as well.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And Reginald, I like to add a little humor. I saw where my sister, one of my older sisters, just logged in, And it reminded me of when we were kids. My mom would, before we would go to visit, she would always tell us, because there are 4 girls and 1 boy, all the 4 girls are very close in age. And she would tell us, now you all behave so that people will invite us back.
Mm.
So I guess I behaved okay because you invited me back. So I'm thankful to be back.
Yes, yes. I got my tissues ready because I mean it was like again, if you guys haven't listened to the part 1, we're gonna put the link after this episode. Listen, because today, if you want to explain about the purpose of today, because I believe we're going to be going a little more deeper. You know,
Yeah.
we were just kind of getting started, and let's start with that. So what should the person listening today be expecting in this podcast?
Okay. First of all, I want you to have paper and pencil or whatever means you want to do to just take some notes. And what we're going to look at are roadblocks that are keeping us from being all that we can be. And I'm going to give a few action steps. And then hopefully you will develop your own action steps because each one of us, our story is different, our challenges, our enemies are different. The thieves and the robbers that come in to steal our aspirations and dreams are different. But today I'm going to call it Dive Deeper in December. So we're going to dive deeper into the things that could be stopping us from being all that we can be and to achieve all that we've been brought to this earth to achieve. So
Awesome. All
have
right.
some paper and pencil. Take a few notes.
Yep, take a few notes, and we're going to go ahead and dive into guide post number 1, which is wisdom. So right now we're on page 3, and what exactly is wisdom, and what are the benefits?
Okay, Reginald, I had to chuckle a little bit when you were saying guideposts because I don't know if you guys can tell, I have these new invisible braces and my tongue sometimes get a little caught up in the braces or whatever. So bear with me, okay? So what is wisdom? Um, if you would think about the dictionary definition or what the academicians would define wisdom as, it would say wisdom is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. It is the quality of being wise. Okay, that's the academician, that's the Oxford Dictionary. But Reginald, if you would, I'd like to give the definition according to Dr. Val.
Sure.
According to Dr. Val, and let me just add Einstein too. Einstein says that we cannot solve problems with the same decisions that when we created the problems. We cannot solve problems with the same thinking, I want to say, as when we created them. So wisdom for me is knowing that we need to renew our thinking. We need to renew our minds, not by the world standards, but by truth. Wisdom for Dr. Val says that the way we think determines our decisions, and our decisions determine our habits and our actions. So we don't want to conform to this world. We want to rule and reign in life. Now, you're going to hear me talk a lot about ruling and reigning and kingdom because that's the way I see the world, that we have a king. The earth is his kingdom. We are the subjects, and he has provided for us. And life for us should be that we're on top of life. Life shouldn't be on top of us. We should be ruling and reigning. And in order to do that, we need wisdom, not our own understanding. That is limited, but the truth. And I have to go back to what Einstein said. We cannot solve problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. And so wisdom comes in with new ideas, new solutions to natural problems with supernatural solutions. We talked about that even in part 1. So we have these natural problems in our lives, in our careers. Wisdom gives us supernatural solutions to those problems.
Mm. So true, so true. So let me do a follow up to that. So, and I think I know the answer. Why do people lack the wisdom? Why does this? And I don't even want. I was going to say why does this generation lack? But I'm not going to do any jabs. But what? But why? Why do people lack the wisdom?
Reginald, I believe some because they fail to ask for it. They don't ask for it. They feel that their way is working okay, even though they know that life has more for them to offer. They don't ask for it because many people are not willing to do the hard work. When we talked about supernatural solutions to natural problems, that sounds to me like hard work. That's not something that we sit down on. And in this season and time, that ferocious focus that I'm talking about is hard work. This is not the time to be casual. This is not the time to be lackadaisical. This is the time to rise up and take the reins of your lives, of your careers, and actually do the hard work. Anything worth having in life is worth doing the hard work for. But some don't ask, so they don't have it. Others have been just disappointed by life, Reginald. You know, in my other life, because I play several roles, and I'm talking with different people. I was talking with the young man on Sunday, and we were talking about destiny and purpose. And I said, son, do you know your purpose? He said, Dr. Val, honestly, most days I'm just lost.
Wow.
I just feel lost. Wisdom, if you ask for it and implement it, will take us from that sense of loss to a sense of belonging and prosperity and growth. Some people don't ask for it because of fear. I think fear is one of the greatest enemies of progress, greatest enemies of professional and personal growth that we have. Fear of what? It could be different for every person. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Fear keeps us from wisdom. And we have to break through that. We must break through that.
Yeah, and we were just even talking about butterflies. You know, before we go on these lives and things like that, you have that, and then sometimes you like, you know what, I just not going to do it, or whatever the case is. So definitely, it perfectly makes sense about why people lack the wisdom. It's not necessarily that they lack it. It's just that they're not necessarily trying, or they're comfortable.
Mhm.
So it all makes sense. So
If I may, Reginald, let me give a couple of little tips that may help too. One thing is in, to get beyond this fear so you can go to the next level,
mhm.
be open to receive divine ideas. Be open to new things. Many times we close ourselves off and we stay with what we have always done and always known to do.
Mhm.
But be open to new divine ideas and know that every good idea is not a divine idea. Many of us are doing good work, but not in the area that we have been brought to this earth to do. So be open to divine ideas. Second is surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do at a higher level, because you can learn from those people and you can burst through that fear. If we keep doing the same things the same way, we're going to get the same results. And that's insanity. And we are not insane. We are compassionate leaders. We are called to rule and reign in this kingdom, and we can do it.
Absolutely. And I love number two because as I was building my business, I didn't sit around and, we have, for example, in our business, we want to deal with people, with companies that have 30 or more computers. So when I was getting advice and trying to get there to that level, I wasn't sitting around with the guys who were doing residential work and the small things. I was going after and getting advice from those people that's been there. And I think that's another thing, and that's why proximity is so important. Not to always stay in that same circle, but to not to say get rid of all your friends or whatever the case is, but whatever that business that you're trying to start or whatever it is, don't stay with the people that's never done anything. Don't get advice from the people. Don't get business advice from someone who's never had a business.
Exactly.
Like, so there's all of that. So absolutely. So let's talk about the second guidepost, guidepost number 10. And with guidepost number 10, it's the stir up the power with you. And I see that the numbers are fluctuating here. So we do have a lot more people joining. So for those of you that are just joining, thank you so much. We are the Miami Business Leaders, and today we are interviewing Dr. Rhoden, and she has her book, which is right here, put in the camera right here, and it's called Leading from the Inside Out. And we are going on a deeper dive from our last part one interview, and right now we're going to be going to our second guidepost number 10, about stirring up the power within you. And in guidepost number 10, Dr. Rhoden, you speak of fighting the good fight of faith.
Yes.
So what is that? And give us a little, pulling the curtains back. What did that look like in your career?
Okay. If I may, Reginald, let me jump back a little bit on wisdom, especially for those people that are new, that are just coming in. Because many people, especially those that are in the academic world, think that conventional wisdom is you got to have a 4-year degree. Now, Reginald, and many of you, those that are watching, know that I was a vocational educator and a vocational administrator. So I've got to put a plug in for vocational education. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm a 2-year degree. I got my 2-year degree.
All right. So now, 4-year degrees, I have them. I have a doctorate degree. All of that is great. But there is a trend that I'm seeing in the business world, even with Google, Amazon, Salesforce, IBM. They are investing in what we call apprenticeships. Mm-hmm. And if you know what an apprenticeship is, type that in the chat so we'll know. But an apprentice is not a 4-year degree, but these are motivated young people or older people who are willing to learn on the job under the tutelage of a mature, skilled worker. These companies are investing in training, in apprenticeships, and investing in hiring those people that graduate. So we can't look at conventional wisdom of saying you got to have a 4-year degree. I have them, others have them, and they've worked, but there are other avenues. And so I ask that we look at those other avenues, especially since I was a business teacher, and then the principal at Turner Tech, which we had 7 technical academies, and the students are doing great. So I wanted to give that plug for vocational education. So now let's go on to what is fighting the good fight, the fight of faith. Thank you for asking. I really want to talk about that. First of all, fighting the good fight of faith hinges on one word, and that's trust. Not trust in my own knowledge, not trust in my own skills, but trust in the Creator. Question to everyone to ponder. If you bought a Honda car and it needed repair, would you go to a Range Rover mechanic?
No.
You would go to the manufacturer. Who knows an item better than the manufacturer? Mm-hmm. Who is our manufacturer? Who is the manufacturer of the human race? That's who we have to have trust in. That Honda that you bought came with a manual like my book, okay? How many of us read our manuals? You got a 15-inch TV. The manual came with the TV. How many of us read it? We are created And we've been given a manual, and that's the word of God. How many of us read it? So fighting the good fight of faith is recognizing that there is a manufacturer who is the creator. He knows us better than anybody. Trust in him. Fighting the good fight of faith for me in my personal life gives me a sense of peace that I know even if I fall, I'll have help getting up. In my career, even if I make a mistake, a big mistake, a bad decision, or whatever, I know that there is correction that is loving and kind that will bring me back to my balance and my center. I have to admit, though, in my career, because I didn't have this book, I leaned on my own understanding. I fought my own fights. I just, and I tell you, it led to stress, dis-ease, which is disease, and it didn't work. So now I understand. Fighting the good fight of faith brings us into alignment and peace in knowing that the Creator has us. But I tell you, I'm not the only one that's making this mistake, who made the mistake and still making it, fighting our own fights. Reginald, I'm surprised that we as humans are the only created beings who will try to be other than what we were created to be. Have you ever seen an eagle try to be a buzzard, Reginald?
No.
No. Eagles fly high. In fact, eagles fly over storms, into storms, so that they can be lifted over storms. Buzzards are low flying, looking for dead stuff.
Right.
Type in the chat if you're sick and tired of dead stuff. If you're sick and tired of dead stuff, you've got to give up trying to do life on your own. The manufacturer did not create us to do life alone and on our own knowledge and skill. The manufacturer manufactured us that we would use the manual, follow the manual, and have a prosperous life. So fighting the good fight of faith, Reginald, starts with trust. Trust in the manufacturer. Thank you, sis. I see you said you're sick and tired of dead stuff. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could recall for me, I am the CEO of the company, but when I talk to people or faith people, I am not the CEO of the company. This is not my company. And when I did that and all the stress that we have with, clients with their issues and things like that, and things that we have to deal with, internal employees and stuff like that. And there would be times where I would literally work, I would say about 16 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Wow.
trying to just fix it. If I can just do that one more email, if I can just go to this job site and do it myself. And then it was like, no, I got to give it up. This is not my company, payroll, short on payroll, whatever the case is. It's like you just have to trust, and that's why I sleep much better at night now, because I'm like, God, your company,
Exactly.
you tell me if I have to do this, then you tell me what I got to do. But this is now your problem. So and with that mindset, it just helped so much.
It does. And Reginald, again, you hit it on the head. The mindset. People, those of you, please hear me when I say this. Everything in life is not going to make sense. Everything that's in the manual is not going to make sense. So let me just say this. Make a mental file entitled "Doesn't Make Sense." And when things don't make sense that the manufacturer has given us to do, file it away in "Doesn't Make Sense" file. Some things are not going to make sense because they are designed to make faith. Hear me again. Some things will not make sense because they were designed to make faith. Let them build your faith. File them away in your mental "doesn't make sense" file and allow the manufacturer to transform you.
Mm-hmm. So true. Awesome. So let's go into our next guidepost. Guidepost number 12. Let me put it here. So we have the sound of criticism. And I remember part one, you mentioned that, some days you would walk down the hallways and you've got, as you as the principal of the school, everybody's coming to you. This is not right. District is, calling you because of this. Parents, teachers. I mean, you were getting it from all sides, probably giving 110%. And there's criticism and there's feedback. So first off, let's talk about how to differentiate between the criticism and feedback.
Thank you for the opportunity again to talk about it because it is so, so important. First of all, feedback is designed to help you to grow, but it must be genuine and it must be done in an authentic way. Conventional model for feedback in business and education and other pillars of society is what we call the sandwich approach. You have the two slices of bread, which are positive statements, and then in the meat, you have the negative. So you start off, for example, there's been a mistake made. You start off, it's great to have you on the team, but then you bring the negative. And then at the end, but we're looking forward to your growing in the team. Now, I'm the person that you just sat down with that. I feel manipulated. I don't feel that your intent for me is to grow and to be better. That sandwich approach, I believe, just does not work. Again, you feel like you've been manipulated. And then there's a culture of your workplace or even in your home that makes a difference in how you receive feedback. So if I'm in a hostile culture and you're using the sandwich approach on me, I'm not going to receive that well.
Right.
So now I have a suggestion that we use benevolent honesty. That's the model I propose. Benevolent honesty in order to give feedback. Okay, Dr. Val, what is benevolent honesty? Both communicators, superior, the worker, whomever it is, both communicate in a truthful, direct manner with the intent and strategies to ensure that our words actually make a difference and lead to transformation and improvement. Benevolent honesty. Honesty is so lacking in the world today. So lacking in the world today. But if I am going to grow and transform and be a better employee for you, I need both of us to be free to sit down and talk honestly with compassion. Compassionate leaders, remember, we listen to understand instead of just to make our point. So that's feedback. Feedback is always for our intent to grow, to give us clearer vision. And there are vision robbers as well, vision robbers and thieves out there. But we are told to just cancel them out and continue to work on our vision. Now, criticism. Criticism comes from fools. The Bible says come from fools, and we're to just forget about them. Criticism is a thief and a robber of your dreams, your compassion, your vision. Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. When we look at feedback, again, we said it helps us to grow. We have to look at what's keeping us from growing. Earlier, you asked, why are many lacking wisdom?
Mm-hmm.
If we have time, I'd like to go dive deeper in December about some of these roadblocks, because we promised people that we would talk about the roadblocks that are keeping us from getting to our authentic and best self. Do we have time that I can go into a couple on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. One of them is some of us keep looking for a rescuer. But you know what I found, Reginald? When you are looking for a rescuer who is not the manufacturer, you usually will find an oppressor. Let me say that again. When you are looking for a rescuer who is not the manufacturer, you generally will find an oppressor. And that purpose of that oppressor is to keep you from reaching your best self. Roadblock number one, looking for a rescuer other than the manufacturer. Another roadblock, and this, I have to be careful because I get emotional with this, and it's about heart wounds. Some of us have mother heart wounds. Some of us have father heart wounds. Some of us have an orphan spirit, a poverty spirit, and even suffer from imposter syndrome. And if I may plug, I'm going to be doing a master class later next week. And we're going to dive even deeper in December in those areas. But very briefly, Reginald, I don't know if you remember doing part one, a gentleman typed in the chat. His name was Merlin Moise.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, if you're on today, type it in the chat, Merlin, so I'll know. But he asked me, Dr. Val, what is the imposter syndrome? And we just talked briefly, and I'm just going to talk a little briefly about it today because we'll go into it more deeply in the master class. But imposter syndrome, I'll give you an example. Let's say that I got a new position that has a heavy demand of technology, and that's one of my weaker areas. But I have everything else. I have all the other qualifications, and I have a plan to learn, just like an apprentice would, the technology that I need, just like I'm doing now. Reginald, the technology that we're using, I'm learning all of this as I'm going along. Okay. So now I would be walking around as an feeling like an imposter with an imposter syndrome, saying, oh, but suppose they find out that I don't have these deep skills in technology. Listen, you are not an imposter unless you are an imposter. If you don't have all the other skills and you don't have a plan to learn as you grow, then you are an imposter. But if not, let go of that syndrome. Why? It's keeping you from being all that you can be. It's a roadblock. It's also a blind spot because it blinds you from the beauty of what you know and can do. That's a robber. That's a thief robber. That's a vision robber. Let go. That's the imposter syndrome. The poverty spirit, which fuels so many other spirits. You never feel like you have enough. You never feel worthy. You never feel that the manufacturer is there for you, especially if you have a father wound. For example, if I were abused by my father, it would be hard for me to look to the manufacturer for anything because I have this father wound. Listen to me, people. When the value of something or someone is not known, abuse is bound to follow. The father did not, the earthly father did not understand the value of the child. The abuse came. But the manufacturer understands your value, and abuse does not follow. So that poverty spirit leads to an orphan spirit, that you don't have a father, that you don't have and you'll never have what you need. You will never be enough. They're all lies. They're all untruths. And remember, I told you at the beginning, we are to be ferociously focused on the truth. ferociously focused on our goals, our visions, our destiny, and our purpose. So those are roadblocks that we have to get beyond, and we have to look to the manufacturer.
Amen. Amen. There are so many things that I want to just go back and replay because like one of the things you mentioned was the vision. What was it? The vision robber.
Yeah, robber and thief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because even for my wife, there was a specific item that she spoke to somebody about, and a couple of weeks later, there it is. That person, in a sense, took that idea, took that vision.
yeah.
So it is always so important who you're telling, and especially if it's something that you're creating and things like that, because you're going to have that person that A is going to just steal it, and then or they're going to then try to put you down
Yeah.
because for whatever internal reasons that they have. So that's why I always say, sometimes you have to, not to say you can't tell your dream, but sometimes you got to kind of keep your dream right here and just work it, work it, work it, because otherwise you're just going to have the enemy just.
Steal, kill, and destroy. And Reginald, also, when I talk about the poverty spirit, we have external poverty and internal poverty. Externally, some people really do lack their basic needs or have them just sparsely. And others have it internally, a thought, the way they think.
Mhm.
And you know something, there are millionaires and billionaires that are orphans and have a poverty spirit because they never have enough.
Mhm.
Their validation comes from being the wealthiest, the best, and that's men and women. I call them orphan kings and orphan queens. So the physical manifestation of a lot of money does not mean that you're no longer carrying that orphan spirit. You can be a millionaire, billionaire, or orphan.
So
That's sad.
true.
That's
So
sad.
true. When I started my IT business, I was doing a lot of residential work, and we did a lot of work in South Beach and all of these high rise and things like that. And that is something that I saw a lot. Yeah, they had the nice, girlfriends, wives, boyfriends, all the money, the views of their condos and things like that, but they were just so empty inside because, and that's the one thing what they say, right? That's what money can't buy is that.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. And but the world this day, it kind of like flips it and it says, yeah, you want to reach here because when you reach here, this is what you're going to get. And then it's a big disappointment when they get there and then like, wow, I worked this hard. Here I am, 45, 50 years old. I have the money. I have everything the world said. And then that's when you have depression, suicide, drugs, drinking, and things like that.
All of it, all of it. But I have some action steps. I have some tips that will help. First thing, realize that your breakthrough from these spirits is not instantaneous. It's a process. But just don't get stuck in it. Continue to seek truth from the manufacturer. Continue to do the hard work. And remember, the price for greatness is responsibility. Take responsibility for your actions. Take responsibility for achieving your goals and your dreams. Secondly, know that you grow in favor and income at different levels. Don't despise small beginnings.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm at the beginning of building my kingdom enterprise as a motivational speaker and a personal development uh, individual. And I'm small. I'm beginning, but I don't despise. Just like the master class, Reginald. If I have 5 people in the master class on the 16th, I'm going to teach as if I have 1,000. I
Mhm.
will not despise my small beginnings. All of us should know that growth takes time. Be willing to do the hard work. Be willing to break through and don't despise small beginnings. And
Yeah.
I have a little formula for you. You know, I'm still a teacher, so I want you to write this formula down.
All right.
Income plus influence equals wealth and impact. Income plus influence equals wealth and impact. So as we grow and not despise small beginnings, our income will grow. With that income, we can reach more people and have more influence. And look out, wealth is going to come, and we're going to impact even greater outside of our usual, all into the international. So look out, Reginald. Art Solvers is destined for wealth and impact. Be prepared in 2022 to build wealth and impact. And that prediction is for each one of you that's listening, that's willing to do the hard work. But the solutions are simple. Keep that. They're not simplistic, but they're simple. Follow the manual.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And most importantly, too, remain humble in that process.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reginald, I just thought of something. Just imagine, and I want everybody who's listening to imagine if all, maybe just say 30% of the top 100 companies in the United States were, the CEOs were kingdom minded entrepreneurs. Imagine if, what did I say, 30% of the major corporations were led by compassionate leaders who have a kingdom mindset that use the manual.
Mm-hmm.
What a different place this country would be, or any country that would implement the principles. That's a beautiful thought for me. So those of you that are listening to me today, and you are an entrepreneur, whether you are a believer or not, because kingdom principles work whether you believe them or not, because it's the truth. You could be one of those CEOs. You could be one of those compassionate leaders that is building wealth and making impact. Think about the generations in your family to follow. What a legacy we can start to leave. I look at so many of our Jewish brothers and sisters that teach their children wealth and impact, and they leave a legacy so their children can inherit businesses, inherit artwork, inherit so many things, so that they are already on their way to wealth. And we continue to just strive and strive and strive. Come on, we can do this. We can do this.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. Yeah, that generational pass down. Especially if someone's been here in the country for that many years. But we won't go there. That's a different topic, different day. But yeah, but definitely we should be following that and passing that generational houses and property and different type of assets.
NFTs.
Yeah, NFTs. There you go. Pass on the NFTs and have a will, right? But that's so. As we start to wrap up, we have one more guidepost that we're going to go over, but we just wanted to just kind of recap everything that we've been talking about. We are here with Dr. Rhoden, and we are going over her book, and we're doing more of a deep dive within the Miami Business Leaders Group, because we know we have leaders that have, as we mentioned, the kingdom faith. And it is so, especially in this world today, where you have to tiptoe different things that you can say. And one of the things that in Dr. Rhoden, when she was a principal and during her career, when she didn't have this book, was how do you do that? How do you make sure that when you step foot in your door, what you learned on Sunday or Saturday or whatever else outside of the business hours doesn't stay at the door? Because these companies and these institutions and education systems or wherever you're working at, they have a totally, for the most part, they have a totally different mindset. They have a dog eats dog world mindset. They have a cutting corners for profits, cutting corners to make more profits. Doesn't matter what is best for the, in my case, the end user or the client, or in your case, the student. It's what's best for whatever this person's, is trying to do. So this book talks about that, and it talks about the different nuggets and the different guideposts that you have to help you stay sound in your faith. And so right now we're going to go in the last guidepost, and we're going to be talking about guidepost number 16, and it's the master character builder. Yeah. So my question for you is that some people have stopped dreaming of the greater success in the workplace. And we talked about fear and how fear has taken the place of hope. So talk to us, Dr. Rhoden, on how they can regain belief in themselves again. Because again, we talked about how people are stopped and people are said, you can't do this. And in today's world, maybe based on your religion, skin color, whatever the case is, the dreams are not allowed to grow. And also stay at the end, everyone, because Dr. Rhoden does have a big announcement on a master class on destiny and purpose on next Thursday. She's going to be talking about that. So please stay tuned for that. We're going to be putting the link and more information about that. So go ahead, Dr. Rhoden, let's talk about guidepost number 16.
Okay. I want to start by asking all the listeners to think of a person in their lives that was there for you, a person that gave you sound wisdom, sound advice, lifted you when you fell, and how you felt during that time. And I'm going to tell a quick story about my person. My sixth grade teacher was Mr. Penn, and Mr. Herbert Penn, who was an excellent. I have not had an educator to impact my life greater than he did. He was excellent in everything that he did. His appearance, his spoken word, his preparation for lessons. I was in the sixth grade, and life could be hard for all of us. And he was always there with a kind word and a lifting word. And I remember so distinctly how he spoke into my life, that he saw something in me that I could do well academically and I could make impact in the world. I remember how he had me, I always wanted to make the honor roll. That was my because it made my mother smile and it made him smile. So he helped me with my dreams and helped me when I fell. So that character building, he started in sixth grade. But how many of you know, and when you think of your person, whether it be a teacher, a pastor, or an employer, or whatever, those people come and they go. I had to leave sixth grade. I couldn't stay in sixth grade for the rest of my life. And so in building that character, we need to, again, consult the manufacturer. And we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people. That's, you know the expression FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right.
Yeah. So we got to do away with FOMO. We got to do away with comparing ourselves and learn to walk in our authentic self. Just like I said, when I walked into the school doors of Turner Tech, I could not leave my faith at the front door. I had to bring them there. Now, I knew I had to use wisdom to work in the guidelines that were given me, but I had to be my authentic self. There is a gentleman who is a professor at FIU at the South Campus in the Educational Leadership Department. His name is Dr. Kundu. He did a in-depth study of children of color in the Cook County, Georgia detention centers. And Cook County is one of the largest in the country. And his research on roadblocks and what success these children had showed that if they had had compassionate leaders who believed in them, if they had a Mr. Penn like I did, that those students could achieve a greatness. In fact, he did a TED Talk, and his TED Talk on that topic was the 5th most viewed TED Talk in 2020. So I
Wow.
recommend that you see it. So it lets us know that not only these children in the detention centers, but all of us in America, all of us, that if we arm ourselves with passion, continuous learning, perseverance, purpose, success can be ours. All of those, Reginald, build our character. All of those build our character.
Mm.
Now, one other roadblock I want to mention is chronic disappointment. Remember, I told you about the gentleman I was talking with, and I'm going to bring it to a close because I know we only have a few minutes. He had said he felt lost most of the time. That may have come from what I call chronic disappointment. If you've been chronically disappointed, type it in the chat. Chronic disappointment, dream after dream, aspiration after aspiration, stolen, torn, taken away from us. I remember a student that I had back some years. She was a cutter, if you guys know what a cutter is. Um, Carved the word empty in her forearm,
Oh.
carved the word empty in her forearm with a sharp blade. Now, do you know what that child must have been going through? The wounds that she had that she would carve empty in her forearm. We must get these roadblocks. We must get these blind spots. We have to break through them. We have to consult the manufacturer. We have to
Mhm.
consult the manufacturer.
Mm. Everything goes back to that manufacturer. I love it.
Everything goes back to the manufacturer.
Awesome. So did anybody have, we failed to mention that if anybody had any questions for Dr. Rhoden as we start to wrap up, please go ahead and put it in the comments now. I see some, Tarsis Yuli, thank you so much for watching. We have a lot of people watching today. So we'll go ahead and start to wrap up. And Rodney, I see that you put a comment here. So if you want to go ahead and expand on that, we can certainly talk about it. But everyone, thank you so much for watching. So Dr. Rhoden, Ebony puts excellent talk, so many nuggets. Thank you so much, Ebony, for participating.
Oh, Ebony.
Yep, Ebony, yep, a mutual friend. She's great, great.
Yeah,
So let's talk about your master class on the destiny and purpose that you're having on December 16th.
exactly. Thank you so much. Great to see you, Ebony. Thank you.
Oh, before
It's
you
my.
start,
Mhm.
how
Go
does
ahead.
one, we have Darren Bennett. How does one get access to the manufacturer?
Oh boy, Darren. Wow, I got chills when you asked me that. Um, Darren, I would love to have more conversation with you offline. You just remember when I talked about wisdom, asking for it. It's the same thing with the manufacturer. You access him by saying, "I need you. I want you. Come into my life."
Mm,
Again, people, oh, that's too simple, Dr. Roden. Remember, God is in the simple. In the kingdom, simple is the new great. Oh, mm. It's simple as that, Darren. It's simple as that. You ask him to come and be with you, and he will. He's been waiting for that.
awesome, awesome. So let's go back to, sorry, I had to cut you off there. So let's talk about next Thursday. What do we have next Thursday?
Next Thursday, I'm excited. The registration, you have it.
Mhm.
We're going to put it up. You can start registering now. We are going to, because remember, my theme is diving deeper in December. So we're going to go even deeper than what we've gone today on what are those things that are robbing us from reaching our destiny and our purpose. If you were with me in part one, I told you that the thing I'm most passionate about is reaching my goal. Why was I brought to this earth? Achieving why I was created. And if I'm passionate about it for me, you know I'm passionate about it for you because I am a compassionate leader. So again, we're still using the guideposts from the book because these guideposts were given to me by inspiration of the manufacturer, and I have to continue to share them with you. But we're going to dive deeper. I have some notes that I'm going to give you, some scriptures that I'm going to give you, things that you can take home. You'll download them and you can print them and you can have them. Some affirmations, because I believe that we should not be defined by what the world says that we are, but we should be defined by who the manufacturer says we are. So I have a list of statements that the manufacturer said each one of you is. And so all of that is next Thursday.
Yep, Thursday, December 16th at 7 p.m. We did put the link below. So by clicking the link, it's going to take you to a Google form, and you put in your information, and Dr. Rhoden's team will be sending you out the Zoom invite for you to join. So, Dr. Rhoden, was there anything last nuggets that you wanted to mention before we sign off?
Very quickly, I'm going to do it with lightning speed.
Sure.
There's some kingdom principles that I want to leave with you. And these kingdom principles come from the 100X community that I'm a part of for kingdom entrepreneurs. And our CEO is Pedro Adeo. And these principles say, the number one principle in the kingdom is love. So we have to love one another. The second is truth. Truth is not relative. Truth comes from the manufacturer. Always deal in truth and integrity. The third one is stewardship. Everything that we have belongs to the manufacturer. Use it well, steward it well. The fourth one you talked about, Reginald, humility. Remain teachable, remain kind, and even childlike. The fifth one is simple. Kingdom life is simple. Don't let people complicate it for you. Number 6, peace. The kingdom brings peace. And the fifth one is honor. Honor those that deserve honor. We make big mistakes in not honoring people and not honoring those that should be honored, not because of their title, not because of their money, but because the impact that they're bringing into the world. Failure to do it can be a big, big cost to you in your career and your life. Honor those whom honor is due. That's it for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rhoden. This has been another live with the Miami business leaders. This was so much powerful, and we always get our part 1 segment we had so many views that we went ahead and recorded it across all our platforms. So if you just happen to be watching this on the YouTube channel or my personal Facebook or the Arc Solvers Facebook, please continue the conversation by joining the Miami Business Leaders Group, which is a Facebook group for entrepreneurs, for CEOs, for managers, community leaders. I'll be putting the link on there below. And Dr. Rhoden, I don't want this to be the last time we talk. I would love to have you back again in a couple of months, maybe after the holidays. You can let me know how the Zoom for the web for the masterclass went, and just continue to pour on in the Miami Business Leaders, because again, when we step into that building, wherever we work, or even if you're working from home, but you step into that computer, it is so important that you continue to follow what the manufacturer, what the Bible, what God has said to do. And if your boss is saying to do something that falls outside of those principles, we want to hear about how we can stay straight in that. So thank you again, Dr. Rhoden. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you in a couple of more weeks when we will be talking about financial planning with a financial planner for business owners and executives. So we'll take care, and we'll see you next time, Dr. Rhoden. Thank you again.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you guys in a few.